Welcome everyone to Paranormal Talk 2. Everything under the sun with Nedra and Timbo tonight. We've got a decent show going on, and we hope you guys really enjoy it out there in the audio listening land. It's a little bit different, but not, if you really look at it. And the show is kind of based on the numbers. So, but anyhow, we're going to get into that in a few minutes. Want to welcome Nedra back, as always. You know, she's our co-host, and we couldn't do this show without her. And it's always a good thing to have her on. And we're both having a little bit of issues tonight with our sinuses and things of that nature. You know, it may be the change of weather. Who knows? Could be allergies. Who knows? Could be paranormal. Who knows? So, but anyway, just bear with us. You'll hear us a little sniffling and maybe a sneeze here and there and a little gulp of water. But anyhow, it's all good. And that's what makes this show. Because why? As you guys know, it's live. So our phone lines are open now. Anyone who wants to go ahead and get set up, our call-in number is 657-383-1555. 657-383-1555. And you can also join us in the chat room as well. So we're going to go ahead and open that up, and we're going to say hello to whoever. And you know, we're all kind of giggly tonight. I know I am, but you know, what the hell? It could be the cold medicine, right? Who knows? So, but anyhow, it's all good. It's all good. And we're transmitting on 2 different platforms tonight. And we just started this a couple of weeks ago. And it seems to be working okay. So there's always room for improvement. And, you know, we're not the ones who kind of like shut the door on improvement. We're always trying to improve things here. So you're also going to be on Spreaker. That's Spreaker, not speaker. Spreaker. So that's Paranormal Talk 2 as well. And as you know, our dedicated system is Blog Talk Radio. So we haven't had any issues. I don't want to jinx us tonight, but you know, it is what it is. We had a great show last week. Had Buffy on last week, and you know, it was really good to have her back. And as always, she's welcome, along with all of our other guests and our callers as well. You know, if you get bored, you want to call in, you want to be part of the show, hey, jump on that phone line. Join us. We have no problems with that. So, getting down to Nedra. How was your week?
Hello. Hi, Tim. Hi, everybody. My week was weird, but okay. I had very little energy, but I have quite a bit now. Thank God. I've been able to do things around the house. And that'll be a forever project, I would imagine. But I'm here tonight and in good spirits. Thank God. And so I guess we'll start if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
But nothing exciting
so the subject
other than
tonight? Nothing exciting, nothing to write a book about. But things are good. You know, they're close to normal. And I don't know what normal is, but normal for me. Let's just say nothing dramatic and nothing negative. How's that? It's been all positive. Yeah. That I will say. So I, you know, knock on wood when I'm around it and say thanks. Anything exciting with you before we get started?
No, nothing at all. Working, and you know, that's about it. Just taking it one day at a time. You know, as always. That's all we can do, and just keep everything in a positive, positive note. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. So, you want to talk about numbers and
Correct.
how?
Well, actually, yeah, it's all about signs,
Right.
but numbers specifically, absolutely. Of course, there are a lot of signs out there. Numbers that, clocks, license plates, buildings, clothes, food. Yes, I said food. And so on. Look, there's a lot there, and I could spend the entire hour and a half, if you want, just all the things that pretty much give us signs, but I don't want to do that. So, for instance, there is a combination that it actually is kind of near and dear to my heart because I have experienced it from time to time, and I'm sure possibly you and others out there have too. Some may already know what it's about and understand. Others still are hiding in the closet going, no, please. The numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. And
Okay.
there's also another example of 1111.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'll start with 1, 2, 3, 4. And what does it all mean? Well, I don't know. If you keep seeing the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, it's considered an angel number. And I would say that, or if you've been woken up in the dark and you're looking at your clock and you keep saying again that 1, 2, 3, 4, then it's pretty much has a meaning, and there's a specific reason why there's a message in there for you.
Okay.
And the thing that what you really need to do in that sense is try to find out what it is. Think about where you are physically, mentally, emotionally, what circumstances, situations you find yourself in, that kind of thing. And then as you go through all the possibilities, for instance, as far as numerology is concerned, and it's an angel number, represents coming in a full circle. And that's when, if you were to add them all together, it would actually, the total would be 1. And it would end with 1. And if you wanted to find out what that represents, and I know we've gone over this before, the meaning of number 1, it would actually be the counting that starts with the number 1. It's the number that indicates a new beginning and possibly self-reliance, achievement, confidence, encouragement. And so there you are in terms of when you think about how you're feeling, changes or things that have happened along the way.
Right.
And you can pretty much try to see if there's an association or a parallel with that. Have you ever seen the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, too, for those who don't know, when you come to a complete circle, that's a 0. But that's a whole. But that's also the foundation for numbers as well. And that's where all the numbers revolve around, is that circle. And I know with 3, I know that you stated, the 1, 2, 3, and 4 are pretty much positive, angels, angelic type, good spirits, good energy, and all of that. But I know that also in my line of work, I have a tendency to do things in 3s. If I go to the supermarket, I buy things in 3s. I buy this is no shit. This is true. I buy. I'm serious. I buy 3 tomatoes, 3 cucumbers. It doesn't matter. It's in 3s. All of my vegetables are in damn 3s. Now I don't know why that is, but it does have a meaning. Now, when I'm doing an investigation, say if it's negative,
Right.
To me, 3 is not a good thing. You know, it's the mockery of say Christ. You know, it's a symbol of demonic to me. 3 knocks, 3 scratches, whatever the case may be. 3 and 1.
Right.
So here we go with the 3 and the 1 again. Now, with that 3 and that 1, if you add that together, that could be 4. If you take away that 1 from 3, everybody, this is only basic math. This, you know, but it does have meaning to it. You take that 1 away from that 3, then you have 2. So there's so many different combinations with those, just with those 3 numbers. You can sit here like you just said, Nedra. You can talk for an hour and a half and still not touch base on numerology. It's just scientific. It's out of our realm, so to speak. And you know yourself that all these numbers revolve on dimensions, out of this world, and like you said, food, ingredients, things like that. All of those have numbers to them. And I know that some people are sitting there scratching their heads and saying, well, how in the hell does food have a number to it? Well, you have different ingredients. You have 1 milligrams of sugar, right? You have 1 milligram of fat, whatever the case may be. It all revolves around numbers. So does your energy level.
In recipes?
In recipes.
In recipes, you have to follow one cup or 3 cups or 2 cups. Yeah, absolutely.
What about your birthday?
I will tell you. Birthday?
It's a number. My opinion about it is, you were assigned a number before you were even born. And that number will not only stay with you in this lifetime, but in the next lifetime. Those numbers are assigned to you. Those numbers are guaranteed. That's your destiny. That's where you're going. Those numbers take you there. You don't have any control over it. It is, what it is, and that's the beauty about numerology. So it all revolves around numbers. I'm sorry, Nedra, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was, kind of getting a different perspective as you were talking. I will say that for the most part, when you start looking around and you're seeing these numbers, whatever they may be, from what I get, your angels, your guardians, your guides, elementals, whichever, are trying to communicate with you or trying to get a message to you. And there are times, I'm sure, that you don't realize it. I mean, this is something where I think you become aware once you open your mind. There are those that, possibly believe or can accept the fact that numbers do rule to a certain extent, or play a huge part in what you do, how you feel, you're expressing yourself. Like the number 3 goes along with self-expression, creativity, being social, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So with that in mind, it explains to you, lets you know you're not alone in some instances. If you're looking for guidance, if you're in need of guidance, even if you don't know it, there's somebody there trying to let you know that you do. So I don't know. It's kind of like when you're busy looking at your phone and you're texting back and forth to somebody, and there are like 3 cars, when you're out in the street, and there are 3 cars that go by, and they have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 on it. Let's say they're with a company, and you don't see it, then the odds are you've missed out on that opportunity. Doesn't mean it didn't exist. It's just that. So if they don't get a message to you that way, they find another way, another sequence of numbers. So it goes along that way. We're never really out of the loop, so to speak.
Right.
So that's the kind of thing where I'm just saying, it's sometimes, look up from your phone and kind of look around and look at nature and look at buildings and see there are things all over that will have these things. And sometimes it don't even make sense. Like, why is that there? Why was... You walk outside and you're looking at a house that you've seen for months and months, years or whatever, and then all of a sudden the numbers changed, or there's no longer the numbers on the mailbox. Now they're on. So it kind of gets you thinking. It kind of stirs up, hopefully, at least gets your mind going in a way where you're just not sitting in a like a cube. Or in a box,
right?
Or with blinders on, because there are things around you that are just trying to communicate, and it's important sometimes, especially when you're going, "Why is this happening?" or "What do I do now?" And the answers are there, coming at you, letting you know. So, I don't know. To me, it's important.
Well, it is important.
So, and I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that have experienced enough. And they're saying, "What the hell is going on?" You get and you look it up, you research it, you talk to people.
Right.
Those in the religious sect, you go in, talk it over, and see. Think about where you are, what you're doing, what your life is about, what you want to change, what you want to let go of, or what you want more of, because that's where these things come into play.
I know there's been times when I've been traveling, and mostly it's back and forth to work, but I will see the same numbers a couple of times during that day. So I know myself that those mean something, and something is trying to tell me something. But a lot of times when I go to, say, like, decipher it, I have an issue with that. Sometimes, I can't figure it out. So then I forget about the whole damn thing by the end of the day, because that's what old people do. They forget about shit. Unless you're that little jackass that, yeah.
Thanks for telling me what old people do. I can't wait.
Well, I kind of went off on a guy the other day. I really didn't mean to, but look, everyone that I know of has been experiencing some type of, say, I'm going to say, like, changes in their physical being, so to speak. Everyone. I'm not mentioning any names, but you know who they are also.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you get to that point to where your energy level is kind of like low, then your whole demeanor kind of like changes. You don't want to be bothered with. And I kind of snapped on a guy the other day, a young kid, and he kind of suggested, I took it out of contact, but he kind of suggested I was old and I probably needed to go ahead and retire. Well, that went south real quick when I got through with his ass. That was pretty much it for him. And he apologized. That's fine. He apologized, went on his merry way. So the old guy still got it. I'm telling you. Now, may not have a lot upstairs. I don't think I've ever had a lot upstairs, even back in my youth. But once again, it revolves around these damn numbers. I can't say damn. I can't I can't say that, because numbers are good. We just have to figure out what they mean and, what they mean to us. So, for the ones who are out there winning these lotteries 3 and 4 times, and you're blowing millions of dollars, hey, if you got a secret, my switchboard is open. 657-383-1555. 657-383-1555. Call us and give us those good numbers so we can win $1 million or so. But with all due respect, and getting back to the seriousness, our birth dates were assigned to us before we even knew those dates. And Social Security numbers, same way. They identify us. And they also give out a lot of information. Now, if you take that information, and bear with me just a minute, you'll see where I'm going with this. If you take that information, and you take those words that information is made up of, and you calculate those words, and you look at the order of those words when it comes to, say, like the alphabet, you can't see where those numbers are, those letters are, and you'll see those numbers. Each one of those words are made up of numbers and letters. So, is it something that we'll understand? No, I know I won't. Not with my mentality. And to be honest with you, I'm a pretty smart guy at some things. But when it comes to calculations, all of that stuff, no. And I can't tell you how many damn miles it is from here to the moon either. So, that's up to the scientists to do all of that. But 1 through 4 are good numbers. Now, what about 7? Everybody seems to think 7 is a lucky number. Is it? I don't know. What do you think, Nedra?
I haven't had any experience with the number 7, to be honest. I haven't really had an opportunity to research it. We know about 6, but I don't know about 7. I don't know, why do they call it lucky, though? I mean, do you think that there's some story that goes back thousands of years?
I don't know. Well, usually when you see 7, you'll see 7. 7 is 7. A lot of people consider that being lucky. I know that back in the medieval times, 666 was also a lucky number. That wasn't.
Was it lucky? Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad number to look at. I don't know. So if anyone's got an answer to that, give us a call. Or hell,
yes, please do.
Throw it in the chat room.
That,
we don't care.
Absolutely.
But I know that when you're dealing with numbers, and I know in a demonic case, we're always looking for 3s. 2s, I don't really worry about 2s, and whether it's a 1 or a 2. But here's another thing: if you take 1 and 2, which everybody knows, simple math is 3. So you could have 2 knocks and then a knock later. So would that be determined as demonic or what? Who knows? So there is things you have to really look for and feel for. And like Nedra said, those numbers, you see those numbers on license plates, on billboards. We have a lot of phone numbers here that has, 1-800-666. Okay. 7777. Well, guess what? Call that number, you're going to get a bunch of attorneys. So now they deal in numbers.
And a lot of marketing calls.
Yeah, they deal in numbers.
Marketing calls. Most likely.
Whether they're going to charge you or not, they're still dealing in numbers. Somebody's going to get. Somebody's going to. Let's just say the world's going to change.
I'll just tell him to send my angel a bill, okay?
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. I got
one
a
of my
message.
guys, he'll take care of it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So another example, and I don't know if anybody's experienced this. Actually, I had the pleasure, and it's not something that I saw, but it was something that I heard, and that is the 1111. And according to numerology, the number 11 is a master number. So, and it supposedly signifies intuition, insight, and enlightenment. I guess a positive thing for the most part, but pretty much considered a doorway that is going to, that is opened or will open, and so that you would experience spiritual growth. So keep that in mind the next time you see that. Those of you who, I'm sure especially practitioners all over the world have experienced this at one time or another. And I think for what's important, again, to just remember, to keep in mind that it is a message, again, from a divine angel, and that in some cases it may be to monitor your thoughts and be aware, especially of what you're thinking in terms of other people. Make sure that you're focusing on things that you want, and in a positive way, and in a positive way of things that you just want to get rid of, which also, there are things that you really should let go of. So when you start saying the number 11, and in this particular case, 1111, it pretty much is going to tell you that it's an opportunity, something to take advantage of, and it's a portal opening up for you. And if there's something that you really want in your life, it's that opportunity to go ahead and manifest. And it'll come to you. It'll come the way you want. Well, I don't know if the way you want, but at least it's a start in the right direction. And you can remain focused and continue on that thought process. Odds are, when you start thinking, it's similar to positive affirmations. I don't know. I remember years ago, you could make a list of things that you want and stick it on. I'm sure people are still doing this. The same thing as a dream board. Have you ever done that, Tim? You ever done a list of positive affirmations?
No, not really.
No?
No. Is that something I should do?
Well, it's a question of how important things are. If you concentrate on the things that you want in life, and as long and for the most part should be positive, and the more you're thinking in that direction, the more you start receiving. I know I used to think that I was the best bargainer in the world, because every so often, I would look up and say to my guides or whoever was listening, this is what I need. This is what I'm looking for. This is what's important to me. And then this is what I want, but I leave that list for later.
Okay.
Basically, yeah. It's like, Lord, buy me a Mercedes-Benz. No, it doesn't work that way. But if you really think positive about the things that you need, that whatever you're looking for, whatever you're looking to do with your life, whatever changes you desire, and you have them. I mean, you look at them every day. It's like putting that positive energy out, and it'll come back. That's what they say. No, I'm kidding. It does come back. It does come back to you in ways that you haven't considered, and so it's a good thing.
Okay.
I recommend it.
Well, now,
Just on a piece of paper.
I remember back when I was young, I did write some things, that I wanted to achieve in my lifetime. And, and some of the things I didn't, I wanted to avoid. But I guess in a simple way that's probably listing the positive stuff that you want to take care of, you want it to happen. So I guess so.
And you would take that list, things that you want, you don't want, and you put it on a frame, or you put it on your little bulletin board, or whatever you had at home, or even put it on your desk, or your, the edge of your bed, wherever, and keep that with you and look at it every day. See, it's the same thing, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
We all aspire for things. I think when we're younger, it's easier to do that. There's less expectation and more anticipation. I think there's more hope, too, that things will come to you. And as we get older, we learn that it doesn't always happen that way. And sometimes life sucks, and it's like, well, and then for some, it's kind of like, well, nothing ever happens the way I want it. Nothing good is coming in my life, and so on and so on. So, I mean, if you're positive in that way, odds are nothing will ever happen, and things will not come to you.
Right.
Kind of like a false positive, I guess, is the way you consider it. But, so I know it has worked. I know. I also know sometimes I just don't have the energy. I figure, for the most part, that things will come to me if and when I need them.
Right.
And there are those, there are those that are watching over, so to speak, to make sure that happens. Not that I always get what I want. It's a question of, what is going to work and what I need.
Absolutely.
At the time.
That's almost like saying a prayer, I guess. And sometimes I know from previous experiences that a lot of times the prayers that you pray are kind of like selfish prayers. So, to me, they're not going to be answered. And I realize that now. And, so I move on. And then the next thing you know, like you just said, sometimes when you move on and you forget about it and you start thinking, in a positive manner, and the next damn thing you know, hell, this is what I prayed for, say, a year or so ago. I remember praying for that. But I still haven't got my $1 million yet.
Well, I haven't got my Mercedes-Benz, not that I really want one, but, because, when you think about it, a lot of the things that you think you need, are basically you don't. And, I think it really comes down to knowing your true self.
Right.
And your soul's desires. And the things in whatever your life experience, realistically, not so realistically. But once you do that, and once you realize it, it's like you said, it's like, well, I know I'm not going to get that. And that's okay. But you can have hope.
Right.
You can say, well, okay, there may be a possibility, but if it doesn't happen, that's okay.
And I know that, there's times that you ask for something and, you're not going to get it. But you ask for it anyway. And who knows? It doesn't hurt to wish. I've been looking for a sailboat, a nice sailboat, liveaboard sailboat. Nothing fancy, just something that I can, fix up. But I also know that that's going to happen. Well, provided I'm still alive, but and if you don't, and if I'm not, I'm still gonna get it. I'm gonna find one. I'm gonna haunt it. So.
Well, you can take it with you. Come on, it's true. You can take things with you.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do. I don't know how far they get with it, but they take it. I know. When I was in the when I was a mortician, I'm not going to tell you where, and I'm not going to say who. I don't disclose that. But
Area 51.
Well, I won't say Area 51. No, but I've seen people buried with fishing rods. Seen people buried with weapons. And to me, that's okay. Because I know that a lot of people laugh about that. But let me ask you something. Do we really know what's on the other side? You love to fish. They may be some trout streams or, some nice open water out there somewhere that you may be spending eternity on, and that damn fishing pole is going to come in handy. So you never know.
If there was an opportunity, if where we go, in whatever realm we do go to, I would imagine that they would have those things there already,
Well,
that's my thought.
It's possible, but do you want to borrow somebody else's fishing pole?
Listen, it's the same thing if there's a bowling alley up there, and I'm sure they're still going to have rental shoes, okay? I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense in the world of, it's like not everybody really goes to the extent of buying their own shoes. So if you want to look at it that way. I don't know. I can't, I'm looking forward to it, to be honest, Who knows, I probably won't even want to bowl anymore. But, it's still, these are all possibilities.
Yeah, who knows? You don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I've never seen into the future, so I can't say. Now, I have crossed over a few times, but it wasn't fishing poles and trout streams. It wasn't weapons or anything like that. I don't know. I don't know what I experienced is what's laying ahead. I think what I experienced was my past, to be honest with you. And I do believe that when we do pass, that there's times we can get reborn, and I'm talking about physically. So I don't know. And then there's other times that you may go to. Some people say heaven. I don't know. I've never been. Never crossed over. I don't know of anyone that's come back to tell me how it is. I've had a lot of people come back to smack me around a little bit, but
No tunnel or light at the end of the tunnel or any beings coming towards you, any of that?
Well, my first experience that I had was in a tunnel. And I had Father Martin explain that to me. And that was in what they call oblivion. That's between this world and the other world. So you were kind of like trapped between those two worlds, and that's where the tunnel came in at. And once I explained everything to him, that there was no light at the end of the tunnel, nothing like that. It was just dark, and that's how he explained that to me. Second time is a little different. I could actually feel myself leaving my body and rising up through the heavens. And I remember going up through the lights, skylights there at the hospital, and all that stuff. And that's when, I had a vision, and it was peaceful. It really was. But I had a choice to take. And that choice was, you can either go down this road or you can go down that road. Whichever one you wanted, it was my choice. But I remember seeing, I call it the tree of life. And it was right between one stream that forked off into two. And there was an angel there, along with a lot of animals, a lot of my pets that I had that passed. And that's probably one of the reasons why I'm so protective about my animals. And it's something that I didn't bring on myself. It was something that was given to me to take care of, say, the animals and stuff. But anyway, I guess I chose the right road. And now we were talking about lizard people, or lizard beings. I did see one of those. Reptilian.
Are you the reptilian?
Yeah, right? Reptilian. And
okay.
Actually, I got to thinking, was it really something negative? I don't think so. I think it was something positive, and I'm going to tell you why. Because even in the other experience that I had outside my body, I did not feel any type of danger when I encountered this. I'm going to call it an angelic being. And no, it wasn't solid white, and it didn't glow, and it didn't have wings or anything like that. But it was comforting, and and I did encounter it. It looked at me, and I remember, I'm looking back, and then all at once it blinked, and then disappeared. On the first episode I had, I did see an angelic being, but once again, that was not all white. That was not radiant and color or whatever. It did not have a glowing aura around it, but I do know it's an angel. And it was kind of like dressed up like the I'm going to say, well, it had the scarf around the head and all of that. And the only thing I could see was her eyes, and she did have wings, but she was very comforting as well. Now, the third time, and yeah, everything occurs in threes with me. And here we go with the 3. So the third time, I remember I was flying in a helicopter, and we were flying over a delta. And I remember this helicopter taking a missile hit. And I could smell the fire. I mean, the smoke. I could feel the fire. I'm screaming. I'm being actually burned alive in this thing. And I remember screaming to the lieutenant that we were hit, but they were already dead. So the chopper was twirling down, and I remember I was holding on to one of the handles, and we hit the water. And I remember being diverted under the water, and the next thing I know, I'm back in, say, present time. So I don't know what happened with that deal. I do know that I had 3 chances. I don't know if there's going to be a 4th, but it's my story. It's a real story, and I left some things out because we really don't have time to cover all of it that actually did happen.
I hear you.
But, I do believe in the afterlife. I do believe there's other worlds. I do believe in reincarnation. I do believe that you can come back. And once again, with the time frame and all that, you're assigned those numbers, and those numbers they they predict your future. Believe it or not. So, like Nedra said, we have to really pay attention to what is around us, and we have to make note of that. It's something not to take lightly. It really isn't, because it could mean something positive, or it could mean something negative, going into something negative from the positive side. Something positive could be warning you. If you don't heed that warning, you could go over it and be affected by the negative. It's it's that simple. But I don't know. But go ahead, Nedra. I spent probably 10 minutes on something I shouldn't have said.
That's okay. Because, listen, when it comes down to it, especially, we're talking about 11 or 1111, for the most part, I think the one thing to think about, and we talked about in terms of maybe down to consciousness, you go from one realm to another, you go from one dimension to another, you pass on to whatever is waiting for you on the other side, so to speak. But most importantly, 11 is actually the number of spiritual awakening, and that pretty much symbolizes the ascending of the consciousness. So in reality, that's where all of a sudden, your conscious is now is no longer in the physical plane, like, as you pass on. Okay. So then it would go to the next level. So it makes a lot of sense. It kind of falls right into place there.
Now, what level would that be?
Pardon?
What level would that be?
Well, depending upon what dimension you're on now, like if you remember, like I said, the majority of people are pretty much within the third dimension. And I think because lack of experience, what happens is they're kind of jolted in certain ways once their consciousness is uplifted to a point where they can actually ascend to the next dimension. So, which would be 4. And from what I've heard and what I've read, basically, 4 is kind of like a stopping point, and you go right on to the 5th dimension, which takes away the physicality of all of it, and you're just left with the consciousness, so to speak. And something else comes into play right along with it, and that has a lot to do with, which starts the ball rolling for the most part, kind of puts it all together between whatever numbers are sequenced, whatever things you experience, and whoever with, how many people you know have come and gone in different ways, things around you, buildings, automobiles, everything involved has a lot to do with synchronicity. Okay. And the number of times that you see these numbers, and where, and when, and I guess what you really want to know is why, and especially why now or why then at that point. Again, it's somebody, there's a message there. There is a point being made by whoever your guides are, your angels, your guardians, and so forth, even people you know. It's a form of synchronicity, kind of plays a huge part in that. Okay. And, if you want a definition of it, it's basically the coincidental occurrence of events, and sometimes, and especially psychic events. So. Well, you can definitely relate to that. Yeah, I can relate to a lot of it. But I don't know about you, but I have been a part of plenty of things that have happened that I won't say continuously freaked me out, but it kind of caught me off guard. It's not something that I expect all the time. And that has a lot to do with people that I know or have known in the past, places that I've been to, all kinds of things. And it's that old thing about no matter how many times you experience something doesn't necessarily mean that the resilience or the acceptance of it comes quickly, or the understanding. It's like the first time each time. So I always, and it's, sometimes it's funny, it really is, it's amusing. It's like, especially when things happen where, if you've seen somebody, you meet somebody, and then you both go separate ways, and you say to yourself, thank God, because I never really want to see that person again. And then a year or 2 years later, all of a sudden, from somebody you've never met before, find you've only known for 2 months, decides to, introduce you to somebody that they just met at a parade, okay? And it turns out to be the person that you met 2 years before that you thank God would never see again.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, how do you resolve that in your brain? Where do you put that in terms of, well, this is not normal, but there are reasons behind that. There's always a lesson that goes along with it. That's why I say pay attention. Don't always take it for granted, and sometimes don't always take it literally. There are things, sometimes it's just for closure, because don't forget there are things emotionally, mentally that go along with those circumstances. Especially when you've seen that 1, 2, 3, 4, and you've experienced all that stuff, and and then you forget about it. You kind of, well, it's over now, and it's past, and nothing's happening, and you're on your merry way. It's going to go boom. It's going to hit you right in the face again. So that, yeah, I kind of go. It's a lot of fun, and it's amusing.
Right. And that's kind of like what I said, earlier about the numbers make an appearance, a couple of times or whatever, and then by the time you try to calculate it and figure out what it means, you've forgotten about it. So, I don't know. What do? We write them down?
You can. Sometimes you should, depending upon, what you were experiencing. Look, a lot of time, and for me especially, there have been times where things have happened like that, and it's made a lot of sense. Maybe not right away. After, let's say, a month later, think about it, and what happened, and how it happened, and who it involved. And it was kind of like, what, I really needed to see that. I really needed to experience that. Because sometimes it gives you information that you didn't have in the first place. It broadens your perception of what you went through the first time. Or, what you went through for the first time and never again, but if you experience it with someone else, I mean, it's the same thing as if you keep meeting the same type of people.
Right.
It's the laws of attraction, which I'm, still kind of trying to get my head around, but still, it makes sense, and you really can't poo-poo it. You can't just put it off and say, well, it's just coincidence. And my rule, there are no coincidences.
No, I don't think there is a coincidence, no.
Exactly. There are meaningful coincidences, though. And that happens with random events. But it still has a meaning. It still has a personal meaning, and it's still going to be important enough and informative. So you have to look at it that way. Even if you didn't want to see it ever again or hear about it, someone up there is just going to go, sorry, but you need to, in order to learn that lesson or to see things in a different perspective, in a different way, maybe a way that's going to help you or heal you. Then, if you look at it that way, then, well, it's a lot better. It's a more positive way. To, okay, accept it and then move on, and help you let go of anything that any baggage that you've been holding on to, and then you see it for what. Oh, okay. Well, I really don't need that, do I? Boom, gone, and it's out of your life. So that's why I try not to put any, locked doors, keeping those things out. Besides, that sometimes, I have a sense of humor, so sometimes I find it amusing,
Let me ask
and then
you.
I always look up and go, you having a slow day,
Right.
Are you bored?
Do you think, Nedra, that you need a little bit of the negative in your life to kind of like balance out the positive? No?
No.
Okay.
Well, okay. No, okay. I see where you're going. You mean as far as problems? Yeah.
Right, but you're gonna
I'm not gonna
encounter that. You're gonna have it.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say negative as much as, um, let's put easy and difficult.
Okay.
Struggle, or ease. I think that's a better way. I think you learn from that, because if we didn't have struggles, then we really wouldn't learn anything, because whatever we did struggle with, when we come across that particular circumstance, we're not going to struggle. We're not going to do the same thing again unless we're not, we want to be an idiot about it. We're going to look for ways to not have that happen again in the same way. So, sometimes, maybe a little depression or anxiety is helpful, but then it's not something you linger in. And trust me, with too much of a good thing on the opposite end, you don't want that either.
Okay.
Because that kind of works right into ego and what expectations, and all of a sudden it's a very powerful thing. So that's not reasonable in terms of how you live your, for the most part, how people live their lives.
Right.
A little excitement, a little danger, a little risk.
I've damn
moderation.
certainly encountered all of that.
Pardon?
I said I've encountered all of that. So
I've had my moments, but you know what? I don't want it again to be. And I've learned lessons from it. And when I think about it, I know I don't hide from it, but it doesn't have to happen again.
Right.
That's for sure. So, and the other thing too is understanding that you're not alone in this thing, and that there are plenty of people, whether they recognize it or even admit to it, they're going through the same thing. So when you can turn to the person next to you and say, what I went through the other day, I've been through that, and let me tell you, it's kind of like, well, I always wonder what company actually exists that hire people to do these things to people.
Okay.
It's like, okay, let's give them a little bit of drama. Let's send in some arrogance, and it's like, what? But the bottom line is you're not alone, and once you realize that, there's harmony that is necessary, and it's there. I think it exists if we would accept that. But depending upon what we think our needs are, we would rather have the attention. And a lot of times the only way we can get or immediate gratification, and the only way we can get those things sometimes kind of leans towards the negative ways of doing it.
Okay.
So,
all right, let's take this caller and see who we have on the other end.
Okay.
Hi, welcome to Paranormal Talk 2. Who do we have on the other end here?
Hi, this is Tony.
Hi, Tony.
Tony Garcia, calling from San Diego. Hi, how are you, sir?
Hi, Tony.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. I wanted to talk about the number 1.168. Are you familiar with that number?
No, I'm not. Have you had experiences with that?
Yeah. I've what happened is I used to be a mathematician back in my college years, and my professor and I would spend a lot of time going over certain formulas and theories and whatnot, and this number kept coming up, 1.168. And I feel like it would haunt me in my dreams at times. And I think one of the reasons is because whenever we were, my professor and I were alone, and we would be just doing these calculations, and whenever I saw this number, it felt like that was a time where he would pull my pants down and fuck me in the asshole. Just come in my ass. And it was just like we'd fuck each other sideways and blow each other's loads. And we'd shoot ropes on each other's face all the time, just blowing our loads, just coming all over the place. Sometimes that's shit. So we would shit, we'd blow loads, we'd come all over each other, and then this number 1.168 would just show up. So all we did is fucking shit and come. It was amazing. I mean, so that was the experience that I had with 1.168. So I don't know if that's kind of something that you also have experienced. It was really hot. We would also, we just shoot ropes on each other, and that number just kept popping up. I'm sorry, I'm hearing some feedback in the background. I don't know if that's you, but we would also as I said, there a lot of homosexual activities that would take place. We'd blow each other's loads, jerk each other's dicks. But sometimes we start shitting. I shit in a beaker once, and then I cooked that shit up, and then we tried drinking that thing.
Okay, Tony, well, I appreciate you calling, man. That's just a little bit too much for us.
Talking about coming and shitting all over each other. It's really hard to hear you. It's the other.
Okay. All right. We got educated on that.
Okay. Okay.
That lasted a little bit longer than I wanted it to last. All right. So.
Case in point.
Absolutely.
When you come across somebody that starts to talk about 1.68, the next time, rather than even respond, just tell them, keep on walking.
I agree with you.
You there?
Yes, I agree with you 100%. Absolutely. Hello?
I'm here. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. He's not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
they shut him off.
Okay.
All right, but that's okay. It's all good. But anyway, yeah. I mean, if you have something to say like that, jump in the chat room, man. I mean, that's all good. But I can tell you right now, you're going to get cut off when you start talking that kind of crap. All right, so it's just that plain and simple. And we kind of like let things slide every now and then, but that's a little bit too graphic. So not this
you
time.
think?
Yeah. So I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, but to me, it is what it is. All right.
I don't think you could hurt his feelings.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Let's take the other caller and see what they have to say. All right, welcome to Paranormal Talk 2. Who do we have?
Hi, this is Henry. I was calling because I think that gentleman was talking about, I'm not sure the number he was using, but I feel like the number he was saying 1.168. I think he was referring to the God number. Is that correct? The 1.618?
Well, we're not
I
exactly sure,
number,
Tony
actually,
or Henry, what he
number's
was talking
God
about.
would be 10 or 1. 10.
Oh, jeez. That's what I thought originally, but when he was talking about cum and fucking and shitting, it just really threw me off. It threw me off, and I started jacking off. So one of the things I did is when I listened to the God number, I started jacking my dick like a madman and just blowing my spunk all over the place. And I think what he was talking about was really interesting about cooking up shit in a beaker. And
all right, goodbye. They must be buddies. All right, so much for that. Listen, guys, if you're going to call my show, you got to have a little bit of respect, all right? Or I'm going to turn your ass off, okay? It's just that plain and simple, okay? So, like I was saying earlier, we have a live show here, and we do have people that listen to it, and we don't need that kind of language. All right, so nothing that's inappropriate like that. So it is what it is. You're gonna hear me say that a lot, but we're trying to have a conversation here. And some of this stuff is very serious to some people. And when you get little pricks like you guys, that's. I agree with you. Random. Yeah, one of our chat room guests said, astonishing that people have nothing better to do than act like jerks. You got it. So, you're not going to act like a damn jerk on my show. Even though I try to set this show up for people, and try to want them, to kind of like get involved in it. But when you start acting and calling like that, I'll cut you off. Let's take another caller and see what they have to say. Welcome to Paranormal
And
Talk
those,
2.
shit in a beaker, and we just come all over yourselves and just.
Okay. So Tim,
Yeah,
that pretty much is supporting evidence of the fact that some things in your life happen in threes. Okay.
exactly. So 3's enough.
Okay.
All right. So, guess what? No more. You want in the chat room? Jump in the chat room. Is what it is. Okay.
Oh my.
All right. Sorry about that, Nedra.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We can,
Let's move
I don't
on.
know, would that be considered luminosity, where it's kind of a shared field of divinity?
Well, anyway, we got educated.
And no one actually knows exactly how it happens. And realistically speaking.
Yeah, I agree with you,
that's
Randall.
just another
We don't need that crap in the
characteristic
chat
of
room
it.
either. Yeah, no, we don't. So, keep everything mild, keep everything a decent conversation, and we'll move on. But
We'll move on. Okay.
yeah,
So here's a simple example of, as far as synchronicity is concerned, in relationships with people. You work in an office, let's say, with 6 other people, and one day you all show up wearing the same color. Odds are you didn't call each other to find out what you were going to wear the next day. So in a sense, it's a level of consciousness between 6 people or 7 people that are flowing at the same level, the same vibration, the same thought process. Synchronicity. Things align. Odds are they probably end up having the same thing for lunch. Might as well just take it on through. That was always spooky to me. I don't know about you. Has that ever happened to you?
no, not really.
No?
No.
Well, that's kind of silly, actually, because in some cases you weren't wearing uniforms, right?
No.
So odds are you would be wearing the same thing, the same color.
That's true.
Now that I think about it. Pardon?
I said true.
Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I thought maybe I lost you again.
No, I just got doing some comments in the chat room.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Are they there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you, Random. He did have an IQ of a doorknob.
Just say the number, please.
Hello?
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Nedra. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I'm just, well. Okay, so we were talking about synchronicity. So I think the best part of all of this, especially in dealing with numerology or numbers, and in this case, and involving synchronicity, it's there staring you in the face. It's in black and white. There's no denying that it's actually happening. You see it. Sometimes you can't not see it.
Right.
So you're like, it's in your face. So you freak out, and then after you're done freaking out, that time's over. And I think, again, the most important thing is to go try to figure it out. It's, and in a way, it's like helping yourself. You're not really I mean, you can share it. Maybe other people have experienced it to be able to open the door a little bit more. And in some cases, it increases, I guess, conversation, communication.
Okay.
And people become engaged in the subject to the point, because there are still questions as far as that we don't know. We don't know why things happen the way they do. But we definitely know things have a, it's almost like they have a place match or a place mark for things that it's either going to make a difference or solidify what you already have, to help maintain whatever changes you've made, whatever you want to get rid of in life in terms of thoughts or lifestyle. So the door is always open. I was hoping that we could hear from someone who has had an experience along those.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's listeners out there that's had experiences. Now, whether they want to acknowledge that or join the conversation, I don't know. But you're more than welcome to leave a message or whatever. Jump in the chat room. Let us hear a question or whatever. But we will not tolerate phone calls like that, and they'll shut you off. It's it is in their duty to do so. So it's a good thing. So we're going to have to go back and revise some of it. But anyhow, with the numbers and all of that, we have had a decent show tonight with these numbers. And, and that's the thing. All of these numbers add up to something. And, whether it's in this lifetime or the next lifetime, even in the past. Who says in a million years that we can't go back into the past? Who says that we're not in a loop right now? We don't know. So, let's see. Random says, haven't had a lot of experiences like that, but when I do, it tends to revolve around music. Multiple people thinking of the same song or sharing a link to a song. And that's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's very true. And I can kind of relate to that because I used to be in music, and so did you, Nedra.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and a lot of people they can relate to different types of songs, and different types of people from all walks of life can relate to one song. And it doesn't matter whether you're young or old, and and once again, everything is made up of numbers, and and all of that. So I'm a fan of all music, to be honest with you. Some songs I relate to, some songs I tolerate and I listen to, but I tune them out. But other songs that almost like, bam, they hit home. And, and then I hear people calling in and saying, hey, I love the song, it was great, it reminded me back in the day. Yeah, the same here, So I can relate to all of that. And yeah, music is just...
That would probably be leaning towards a level of consciousness where you're both sharing that same level or that same frequency. It's the same thing as if you were thinking about somebody, let's say you were in a relationship and things went wrong and you both went your separate ways. But there was always a song playing throughout the relationship that you both liked. It became your song, And then, it kind of went on, but it was still one of your favorite songs. And then every time you would hear it, you would think of that person. And then finally, you went your separate ways. And then one day, you found yourself thinking about that person, and all of a sudden, that song comes on the radio.
Right.
I don't know. That's happened a zillion times to me. Or, and what I do now, which I didn't do in the past, and we're talking 1,000 years ago, okay, which I didn't seem was really important or necessary. But when that happens, I think about where I'm at. I think about what's going on in my life. Is there something missing that would be acquainted with that song, with that relationship, that person? What was happening in that relationship? Where was I at mentally or philosophically? Where was I? Was I open? Was I did I look at things in a symmetrical way? Or, I know it seems a little tedious, but when you think about it, and there are things that you get over, things that you experience, and that, as you get older, some things aren't important or aren't really necessary. There is a lesson that you learn, and you move on. And then there are things that still kind of hang on, and it gives a perfect opportunity to be able to go, okay, so there it is again. And I figure whoever did that, I always go, whoever's responsible for that, there better be a good reason, I'm not in the mood right now, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of look at it. Take a moment, just think about, what it really means and why.
Right.
Maybe there's no reason to even have that in your, your selection of tunes or what's necessary. Take it out, just get rid of it. Maybe you need a cleansing. Maybe you need to purge all of those things that were related to that particular song. And if you're feeling positive or you're feeling good when this is happening, then it could be something to hang on to, or at least so it's good for the memory. It's like a photograph. You put it in your album. You can look at it every so often. The same thing with the song. But if it's something that reminds you of things, what went wrong, and it makes you sad, then maybe it's time to get rid of that. And the odds are, I'll even wager a bet that if you were to say to yourself, I no longer want to think about that. I don't want to think about those things that happened when that song was our song, and you throw it out, and you just put it out of your mind. You let go of whatever went along with that. Odds are you're never going to hear it again. Or if you do, it's not going to mean anything.
Right.
It's going to be like, a bug flew by. Well, who cares? So,
now,
I look for that opportunity.
I know in some cases I've thought of a song or something I saw reminded me of a song, and then, hell, within a few minutes, that song would come on the radio, and I don't think that's a coincidence. And like you said, I don't believe in coincidences. So,
right.
And Randall says music is just mathematics in the end. It is.
It is. Absolutely.
That's
you can break it down into beats, measures, beats, timing.
You got it. Yeah, you got it. Okay. All right. Well, guys, we're getting ready to go ahead and start thinking about next week's show. And
ooh,
yeah, so it's going to be, it's going to be a really, really good show next week. It really is. We have guests coming on that are very, very, say, scientific, and they're into a lot of energy healing. They're a husband and wife team, and he's a psychologist. He's wrote a lot of books. He studies the paranormal, and she's into the spiritual arts of healing. She has different techniques, and she's also very, very good at what she does. Nedra, you know these people. and you know what they're
I
doing.
have for 3 years. Absolutely.
Do you want to introduce our guest for next week?
That'll be fine. Sure.
Are you sure?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, introduce them.
I thought next week. Now? Okay. Well, Mary and Dave DeSano. Like I said, I've known him for 3 years. Mary basically deals with reconnective healing, and it's a form of an energy-based healing. It's actually been used for over 100,000 practitioners in 70 countries worldwide. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, I may not know this, but I think she's the best out of all of them. She's really done quite a remarkable for me, because a lot of times the energy is kind of, especially in me, there are things that need to be reorganized, reassessed, some done away with. As far as I'm concerned, she does it well for me. Dave also very, very informative as far as the sciences are concerned, and in psychology, and they've worked together for quite a few years, and he has written some books. She's written a book as well as of her experiences, and I'm not quite sure what they're going to be talking about, but I know there are things, especially in the paranormal, things with spirit, some positive, some negative, and it was quite a journey that those two have been on with respect to their experiences and the changes that they probably had to make, sacrifices, and so on. But I'm sure they'll be more than happy to go into it for you next week, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's Mary and Dave DeSano with Divinely Touched, and I hope you all will be there. So you're in for a good show, a whopper of a show.
Yeah, absolutely. And I interviewed our guests for next week, and they're very, very informative. They're very experienced and seasoned investigators as well as healers. And actually, Nedra recommended me to go to Mary, and to kind of like get things balanced back out again. And I definitely don't have a problem with that. I do shamans, and I do all kinds of things to kind of like get myself, balanced back out again, especially when I'm down, and and after a nasty case or whatever whatever it may be. So we're looking forward to next week, and we definitely can't wait to have them on. And we hope everyone out there that's listening will tune in, and I will go ahead and post the information, the banners, and all that up on the Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all that good stuff. Spotify, everywhere that we have our medias. We'll go ahead and post that out there, and they're also going to do some things as well on their end. But everyone is invited, as always. But like I said, out of respect, don't call the show and start, that kind of crap with, your sexual habits or life or whatever the case may be, or just, trying to be funny. We don't find it funny. We find our work very, it's very intense. We have a lot of experience in this. We go through a lot just to get you guys the information out there on these shows. So we don't need any quagmires thrown in there like these damn idiots did earlier tonight. But anyhow, you're more than welcome to call the show. But I can tell you right now, I'll shut your ass off real quick when you start something like that. And appreciate everybody in the chat room. We love your thoughts and and the things that you put out there. it's a good thing. Want to thank Random, Harry, everybody that came on board. But anyhow, we're going to say goodnight, and we hope everyone has a great weekend. And just want to touch base with everybody. And join us next week, 7 p.m., Blog Talk Radio, Paranormal Talk 2, everything under the sun. And listen to our show. All right? Give us some feedback. We love you guys, and we're going to say goodnight. So I hope everybody has a great weekend.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.